If you come home from your vacations feeling like you need a vacation from what just happened to you, I'm going to help maybe walk you through a little bit of how we plan our itinerary so that we get the most out of our time, so that we don't miss any of the sites we wanted to see, so that we have some time to actually relax while we're on the vacation, and we come home feeling relaxed and glad that we went and looking forward to going again. So if that sounds like something you'd like to see, let's dig into my itinerary planning. So the obvious start to any trip is you're going to start with when and where. So pick your when, pick your where. But once you know that, then when you're building your itinerary, the first thing to start with is going to be how much time you have. So planning, including flight dates, that's your how much time do we have. And the first thing I do when I'm planning, starting at the very beginning of we're going to take a trip, write down that your time that you have off, and then your flight, if you go long distances or cover any time zones, your first day, once you arrive to where you're going, you need to make sure that that is an easy day, especially the farther away that you're going. If you're going from, like we go from the west coast of the US, the farthest we go is Europe, like France, Europe. So that's going to be an overnight flight for us. If you're doing that and you're getting there in the morning to wherever you are traveling to, that first day, just give yourself, you don't want to miss out, you don't want to sleep through the day and waste a day of your vacation, but you also don't plan it where you have hit the ground and you're going to go see a bunch of stuff. It's possible, but it's going to push you to exhaustion. By the end of an afternoon on your first day on the ground in Europe from the US, you're going to be bleary-eyed and not able to make words into sentences. So on our first day, I always plan for that first day on a long trip. First day, arrive, unpack, get settled, and then do not take a nap, but do something easy. Like walk through a market, or don't hit anything that's one of your big bucket list things. And I have another couple of videos that will be like best things to do on your first day, especially in France because that's where we go. But don't plan anything big for that first day. So once we know where we're going, then I start digging into, and I'm a history geek, so I dig into what's the history of an area that we're looking at. So for instance, when we planned our trip to Normandy, we're both big into World War II history. I'm big into medieval English history and how it translates over to France. So I narrowed it down to what happened in that area. So I will pick the area and then zoom in, and this will vary for everyone, but I pick out, look at details, look at tidbits, look at trivia. What happened there? Who was born in this castle? What battles happened? What famous people from history or whatever you're interested in, what happened there that you can go and find. Besides, don't just do the check off the touristy things, like go off the beaten track. There's so much more to see when you just get out and do more of the smaller, I call them the smaller things, but just the main touristy things are going to be great, and I don't want to miss those because obviously they're a big deal for a reason. But try to include some other thing, go see, we went and saw a lace museum in a small town in northern France. It was just because, and it was amazing. It was lace pieces from the 14 and 1500s, just a gorgeous little stop, and we included that. So zoom down and find the things you want to see in that area. Once you have zoomed down and kind of picked out some things you want to see in an area, the next thing I will do is Google Maps is your main reference. This is the main thing I use anyway. I don't know what you'll use, but Google Maps. So I will pick out all the things I want to see in a region, and I will literally map them and pin them on a Google Maps, and basically pin each one, and you kind of get a map of what all the things you want to see, where they're at. And once I have that, I will work with where we want to stay. So I have a map of everywhere we want to be, they're all pinned, and I basically throw a dart at the central part of that map, and that becomes narrowed down to where you want to stay, because you want to be able to kind of, I make it like spokes on a wheel. So all these day trips out from a home base that we're staying at. So I will plan that, which also ties into simultaneously planning how to get there from where we're coming in, and if you're renting a car, all of that needs to coordinate. So I have the map of everywhere we want to see. And then once I have them all pinned and I have a location where we are going to use as a home base, even if it's just the town you want to stay in, then I start working on day trips. How many days do you have? How many places are you trying to see? And then start hooking them together. So I'll do the mileage from where we're staying to each place. And then after I have that, then I will start mapping, what about combining two things in one day? And if you're like the last trip we went to the Loire Valley and we saw a lot of the castles, which I think the adult dose for castles is like 2 for a day. You max out after 2. 1 big castle, or 2 if you're kind of in a, like, you're just gonna run through them and see them. But if there's gardens involved or or a giant amount of history that you really want to see, just do one. And so I will start mapping how far apart are they and see if some of them can be combined in one trip, and start looking at the mileages and doing, you know, can we do this one here? If they're 20 minutes apart, I'll try and do them in a loop and then come home a second way, so you get to see more out of the mileage you're using. You're not coming back the same way, you're getting to see more of the country because you're taking maybe a sideline route or a smaller road to get back to your home base. And another main thing to do with Google Maps, once you know where you're going to be and you kind of have your mapping sort of set up, and especially if you're driving, you can go into Google Maps and pick that area and download an offline map. This is so important, especially like we do. We go out into the countryside in France. You will not have phone service, and you may have navigation in the car, but again, if it's not what you're used to, it's just much easier to go with what you know. And I know Google Maps, so I just download an offline map of that area and I make sure it's saved, and I double and triple check it before we leave, like make sure you have the map. You will not believe how much frustration and headache that will save you, just having that on your phone, where you can just listen to the voice that says, turn, you know, take the first exit out of the many roundabouts you will encounter. So download an offline map. Once I have everything mapped and sort of pinned, and maybe a little bit of the order of how I want to see them, or they're combined with different day trips, I will also look at each stop along the way. And so each, say, castle or historical site or whatever you're looking at, zoom down on this individual site, go to their website, kind of comb through it, see, first of all, when are they open? Make a note of what days of the week they're open and make sure it corresponds with your itinerary, because you'll need that later. Do they have parking? Is it free? Is it not free? Are they handicap accessible if you need that? Do they allow pets? If they, you know, all of these things you're going to need to look at. How much is the entry fee to get in, if there is one? And often you can look at museums and different, like especially Europe, castles. Sometimes if you go to the tourist office in the closest town, they will, for one, they'll have the brochure for the places you want to go, but they will also often have a package you can buy of say 3 castles for one price for one ticket. And so you can get in, or 3 museum package, or 2, see 2 museums in the same shot, or, you can see where I'm going. Anyway, so look at that and kind of see, get an idea, and I write it all down, make a note, because we will be talking about budgeting in a future video. So write down all of the costs, and as well as all of the distances for these places, and get that written down, and then we start zooming in even closer to plan specific days that you are there and what you're doing on each day. So once I have mapped where we're going, which ones can be combined into a single trip, also I look at alternate routes. I know, again, we mostly go to France when we do long haul stuff, but if you're looking at toll roads, especially Europe, make sure you have the euros for the toll stops. We just found it's easier and we enjoy more to just take whatever side road you can take to avoid the toll roads. They're quicker, but we got stopped once our first time. We did not have the coins, we did not have the euros, and we didn't understand the signage over the toll thing, and didn't have euros to put in the machine, and didn't have a credit card that the machine would work. So the gate is down, there's cars behind you, we don't know how to use the machine, and we can't get the gate to go. So it always works out, but it's always that moment of panic, frustration, everyone's honking and you're the stupid tourist. So have euros, have like coinage with you. So once you have all of that, then I will start moving things around like puzzle pieces. The other thing that I will always look for when I'm planning, again, Europe mostly, once you know what days, for sure what day the thing is open, look for local towns or the town you're going to and see where the market days are. Because if you love to just go see a market, you can do that in the morning and plan your route where you are going to see the market in the morning, maybe grab a lunch, grab a picnic, and then head out to whatever you're seeing in the afternoon. And another thing to check with the castles and chateaus, especially in France, see if there's a restaurant on site, and often there is not. So if there is not, see if there is an area where it's okay to have a picnic. Sometimes there is, sometimes there is not. Sometimes it is not allowed. So make sure you look into that. You may be able to sit by the river outside of a chateau and have your picnic. So look for that, but make sure you see if you need to bring food, and again, tie that into maybe a market stop. So I look at the market days, the days that the castles are open or the museums are open, and then plan all of that. That's where I start moving things around. I have them all written down, just like day 1, day 2 through the week. But then once I know these details, I start flipping things around. Like, okay, that castle is closed on Tuesday, but their market day is Thursday. So let's move that to Thursday, move something else up into that other day. So I start moving things around until it makes sense. And then that is where you start fine-tuning the day. And I literally lay out in the computer, I'll lay out day 1, go to this market, go to that castle, come back through this route, maybe see that if we have time. And then the other thing to include in that as you're planning, and we usually give ourselves a week in the country and a week in the city. So we'll have a week, we'll have basically 7 days to work with. So I will try to mix it up a little bit and don't just boom, 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 hit stuff all the time every day, just go, 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 unless that's your pace. We like to hit everything because we like to see, we can sleep when we're home. But we also try to make sure that we give time to I give it what I call a flex day. So I will plan, we arrive, we get out to the country, rent the car. First day, hit it. Go see the big castles, go see the things you want to see, do the market. Then the next day, maybe do something that's more like, okay, we're gonna sleep in, see the place that we live in, maybe see the village you're staying in, and then go out and see something a little bit not as big of a deal, or go see a museum that's local, or just do a bit of a road trip down the coast and just see what you see. So I put in flex days, and we always end up using them. My itineraries, I will show you here in a bit, they always end up with scribbles all over them, where we change that to this, and we move that day to here, we skip that because we did this. So it's lots of flexibility, but I always start with a base of like, these are the things we do not want to miss. And once you have them plugged into the days that you have, and you have them all kind of organized, and it takes a bit for me to kind of finalize it as we get closer to the trip, and you start and double check at the end that you are not coming closer to the date you leave. Always double check right before you leave, because suddenly there may be something's under construction, or they're renovating, or it's closed for whatever holiday. Check the national holidays where you're going. Make sure that that particular church is not closed for the week or the weekend, or there's not something going on. So lots of things to check into, but once I have it all finalized, I will lay it down into day 1, day 2, all the way through, and then leave those flex days in there so you can just sleep in and drink coffee and eat a baguette or whatever you want to do on the day, or go to the beach, or just plan a day that you can just chill, and you'll feel it. You'll either chill or you'll go find something cool to do. And another thing, I just thought of this, when you're mapping, this is the coolest thing in the world, and I've done it every time we go. When you're Google mapping, there is a layer that you can choose of like a view, and it's Street View. And you can pull down on the village you want to stay in, or the B&B that you're going to rent. You can click Street View, zoom in on Street View, and you can go through the whole village. You can walk the streets of whatever town you're going to be in, and it's so helpful. When I arrive somewhere, I do not like the old feeling. When we were kids, we just showed up and you just walk around and you don't know where you're at. You have a map that you carry. So I will Google Map Street View, and I can literally stroll the neighborhood of where we're going to be. And so when you arrive, it feels somewhat familiar, and you haven't been there obviously, but you kind of know. It's like, okay, we get down on this street, you go right, there should be a little market right there, or there's a metro, or there's this or that. I mean, grocery stores down that way. Walk it. You can literally go through the Street View. It's so cool, so cool. And it'll make you feel like when you get there, you're not just completely lost, not knowing what to do. So that is kind of how I do our itinerary, and I make sure right towards the end that I do zoom in and make sure that nothing's closed and everything's going to work. But we take the itinerary with us, and this is kind of the only way I know to make sure that we don't miss anything cool while we're on the trip that we didn't, maybe, you forget once you get there. We do leave room to just scrap something and do something entirely different, but I do try to stick to especially the highlight things that we knew we wanted to see, because there's nothing worse than coming home from especially a big foreign trip and being like, oh, we were right there and we missed that one cool thing because we didn't realize that it was there, or we didn't remember that it was there. So as long as I have it written down or it's in the itinerary, I know that, hey, we really don't want to miss this. So this is what I always use, and I love doing it. It's what I've always done for our trips, and we always come home. You just get on the plane on the way home, or how you're coming home, and it just was like, yeah, that was cool. So if you want to feel that way when you come home from your trip, try building a full itinerary and you got to do some homework, but if you do, it will pay off so much in the long run. So if you'd like to see more of how I plan our trips and how we do budgeting, I will do a budgeting video next, I think next week, but I do have a planning video right here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.